33 months, which was lower than the guidelines that the probation department wanted. They had him up to around 47 months as the high. So Judge Wood was actually well within the guidelines and fair, so to speak. Even though her language was harsh, she basically gave him time served. And because Steve has only been in 30 months, it sounds like he has to do 3 more months, but he doesn't. Because Steve has accrued good time. And when he's in jail, he's still in jail under federal criteria. And federal criteria gives him 54 days a year good time. So he's accumulated more than 100, probably, and if they prorate it, he has enough good time to more than cover the 3 additional months. So he's eligible for release now if the judge in Tacoma decides to drop he's being charged with a probation violation, and a detainer is holding him in this jail here. If the judge, and I'm sure the judge is going to be contacted by Matt today, because the judge just wanted to hear what the sentence was here, and there's a good chance that the judge in Tacoma is going to free Steve of this detainer, and he could be released as soon as tomorrow, God hopes, right? I don't know that that's true, and it's really going to depend. If the judge in Tacoma feels like that Steve's refusal to cooperate with announcing to the court that he refuses to cooperate with the post-release criteria, that he's not penitent in any way, the judge could order him to come back, and he'd have to be transported by the United States Marshals back to Tacoma, or the judge could say, I will allow you to self-report back there, but Steve won't do that. So the point is, either he gets brought back or he doesn't have to go back. The good news to me here is that Judge Wood did not take issue with Steve's pre-sentencing statement of non-cooperation. She could have matched him, right? She could have said, I'm offended by what you said, blah, 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 blah. I'm sending you back to jail till you make up your mind to comply with these conditions. She pretended like he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Right? Which is exactly what I was hoping was going to happen. And that's frequently what happens with judges. They don't take on the battle until the person actually violates the conditions. And then Judge Wood can decide if she's going to order Steve to come back. I would bet my bottom dollar that Steve will catch the first train out of town, bus out of town when he walks out of those Glenn County Detention Center. And at that point, he's supposed to report to a probation officer within 3 days. He says he's itinerant. She did not say to him, I thought she might say to him, I order you to report to Fonda Dixon, who is our probation officer here for the 7 of us in Brunswick. She didn't say that. So when the Glenn County Detention Center says, you're free to go, Steve leaves. Now what he does with that, and then what Judge Wood decides to do in response, when he doesn't report to a probation officer and he doesn't pay any restitution, is going to be, that's the mystery. We don't know how quickly Judge Wood will act on that. She doesn't have to do anything. She can sit on this thing and not impose consequences. She can wait a year to impose consequences. We don't really know what's going to happen. She could just issue an arrest warrant for Steve, 3 days after he gets out. He doesn't report to probation. So it's all, we have no idea what she's going to do, but we know that she didn't do the thing that I was really fearing, that she was going to send him back to jail and say, this statement indicates non-cooperation on your part, and therefore she could do something. It would be something equivalent to a contempt charge. I don't know what she could have done, but she had latitude to do worse. I can say that, but she didn't do it.
Yep.
So Steve has 3 years of supervised release. She's requiring him to report to a probation officer, and that would be decided by the probation officer. Steve's not going to do that. She also had special conditions, which were all financial in nature and sort of bizarre. Why she was wanting him not to get a credit card and things like that, and this was.
But she's not charging him interest.
This was yes, he didn't possess. It was she articulated the fact that it was a nominal fee.
He's going to pay a fifth.
But I would like to say that I think.
Yeah, right.
Now, for those who haven't been here previously, the prosecution the prosecutor who's been with us for the whole 2.5 years, Carl Canucci, who's a nice man and I'm friends with him, is not here for some reason. He won't be here tomorrow. Greg Gillooly was the Barracuda who was brought in for the closing arguments, and what he said today was nothing compared to what he said.
That's right.
Said in his closing arguments.
Yep.
I mean, he basically called us, masquerading as religious. He basically we were zealots. He just went on and on and on, saying how horrible we were, and that was why he was brought in, because Carl wouldn't have said things like that.
Yeah.
It's not in his heart to do it. But anyway, and Greg will say the same things about me tomorrow.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, he will. So. But
You damaged property.
Right. Well, Gillooly, and
How
God
dare
forbid
you.
that the school children came and saw the blood in the spray painting.
Oh,
They've been
dear.
infected for life, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Because of that. But the point is that Gillooly, for some reason we don't know why, after the sentencing, he had his wife and children there. Somebody told me at the trial, he had his wife and children there, and one of his children came out of the court crying at the end of it. I don't know if he was crying out of pride for his father or out of wow. The child was touched by it. It was a child. It was not, he was a teenager. So it's interesting how lives are touched by this experience. And but I have to say, overall, I'm happy. I wanted Steve to not have to get into I was glad he got up and agreed to sit in the chair in front of the podium. I was like, God, Steve, I thought the marshals they probably just would have pushed him.
Yeah.
They would have pushed him over there.
I thought they were going to carry the whole chair.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why Steve decided to do that then, but Steve will tell us when we see him.
he will.
Let's say that Alan.
But I was
Not really getting this.
That was the only time I got a little nervous. But remember,
Yes,
Steve has
he's
never
old.
ever stood for Judge Wood.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah.
For 2.5 years, he's never stood. She knows that.
Yeah.
And he does say to the judge, when first question, this is not anything about you. Out of due respect, I just don't, honor I forget what he said, but he specifically addresses it.
About you, I do this to all my judges.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think the language of Wood and the language of Gillooly was severe, but the sentence was within my hope. Time served essentially is what he got.
Yeah.